If we didn't have Jewish people, we would probably be in the dark ages with technology and innovations. And too many things to count. Here are just 10 innovations from Jewish people. The teddy bear. Did you know that the teddy bear owes its existence to a Jewish couple? Morris Michtam, September 12, 1869 to July 21, 1938, was a Russian-born businessman and inventor who, with his wife Rose, also a Russian Jewish immigrant who lived in Brooklyn, came up with the idea for the teddy bear in 1902 around the same time as Richard Steiff in Germany. They founded the Ideal Novelty and Toy Company, which, after Michtam's death, became the largest doll-making company in the United States. Michtam was born into a Jewish family on September 12, 1869, and immigrated to New York in 1887. He sold candy in his shop in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn by day and made stuffed animals with his wife Rose at night. The teddy bear was inspired by a cartoon by Pulitzer Prize-winning cartoonist Clifford K. Berryman depicting American President Theodore Roosevelt, commonly called Teddy, having compassion for a bear at the end of an unsuccessful hunting trip in Mississippi in 1902. Michtam saw the drawing and created a tiny plush bear cub which he sent to Roosevelt. Michtam put a plush bear in the shop window with a sign, Teddy's Bear. After the creation of the bear in 1902, the sale of the bears was so great that in 1907 Michtam created the Ideal Novelty and Toy Company. 2. The ballpoint pen. Although his name may not be well known, I'm sure you have heard of his invention, the ballpoint pen. Biro was forced to flee Nazi forces as he experimented with his invention. Laszlo Biro, a Hungarian-Argentine inventor, came up with the idea for the modern-day ballpoint pen. He worked as an editor for newspapers in Hungary and had a problem with ink from fountain pens, which smudged and took a long time to dry. Meanwhile, he noticed, the ink in newspaper printing presses didn't smudge and dried quickly. He tried putting the same ink in a fountain pen, but couldn't get it to flow into the tip. So Laszlo Biro worked with his brother, a chemist, and developed a new tip with a ball that moved freely in a socket. The Biros presented the first working ballpoint pen at the Budapest International Fair in 1931. In 1945, Marcel Bic bought the patent from Biro for the pen, which soon became the main product of his Bic company. Bic has sold more than 100 billion ballpoint pens worldwide. Genetic engineering. Paul Berg, a Jewish scientist, a Nobel Prize-winning biochemist. In 1972, he created the first recombinant DNA molecules. These molecules form the basis of modern genetic engineering, making its advancements possible. While not everyone is on board with genetically modified foods, genetic engineering is gaining popularity as a means of developing a cancer treatment. Furthermore, organisms that are genetically modified are being used to develop insulin and prevent diseases from affecting crops. Dr. Berg's work earned him the 1980 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, which he shared with Walter Gilbert and Frederick Sanger, who were cited for their work on genetic sequencing. Often described as the blueprint for every cell, DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the spiral staircase-shaped strand of molecules that carry the code by which cells duplicate themselves. Dr. Berg showed that the blueprint could be altered and cells made to produce new offspring that could ultimately do or not do very different things from the original cells. Siegfried Marcus, automobile with combustion engine. Siegfried Marcus, 1833 to 1898, is credited with inventing the first automobile powered by an internal combustion engine. His designs and prototypes were developed between 1864 to 1888. He was the first to use a carburetor and the electric spark plug, and he developed a four-stroke engine. He also patented several improvements to the internal combustion engine, making it more efficient and reliable. His inventions had a great influence on the development of the modern automobile. Marcus became an apprentice machinist at the age of 12, and 5 years later he joined an engineering company building telegraph lines. Within 3 years, he invented a telegraphic relay system and moved to Vienna, where he was employed by several government and scientific organizations. In 1860, he established his own laboratory there. Marcus built his first automobile in 1864, a vehicle that was powered by a one-cylinder internal combustion engine. Instant cameras. Edwin Land was born to Jewish parents in Bridgeport, Connecticut, to Mady, née Goldfaden, and Harry Land, a Russian scrap metal dealer. Growing up, he was known to take apart household appliances, such as a mantel clock and the family's new gramophone, as well as blowing all the house's fuses when he was 6 years old. He was scolded by his father when taking apart a phonograph, and he vowed that nothing or nobody could stop me from carrying through the execution of an experiment. He studied physics at Harvard University, more specifically, optics, but left after his freshman year, moving to New York City. There he invented the first inexpensive filters capable of polarizing light, which he called Polaroid film. Edwin Land, co-founder of the Polaroid Corporation, made it possible for pictures to be taken and developed almost immediately. In 1947, he demonstrated the Polaroid Land camera, which could produce a finished print in 60 seconds. Land's photographic process soon found many applications in business, science, and the military. Before he died in 1991, the New Englander had received more than 500 patents for his innovations in light and plastics. Word processing computer. Pioneer Evelyn Berezin was born in New York in 1925 to Jewish immigrants from Russia. She designed the first true word processing computer. She also developed the first automated airline reservation system. United Airlines put her invention into service in 1955. It served 60 cities throughout the United States with a 1-second response time and with no central system failures in 11 years of operation, according to the Computer History Museum. Berezin received her BA in physics from New York University in 1945 and an Atomic Energy Commission Fellowship for graduate study there in 1946. Her interest in physics stemmed from reading her brother's science fiction periodicals. Mobile phones. Martin Cooper is the father of the cell phone. The Chicago-born son of Jewish immigrants who fled pogroms in their native Ukraine. Cooper served in the Navy during the Korean War and later joined Motorola just as it was becoming a leader in research on transistors, tiny devices that control electrical signals and are integral to almost every electronic device. He debuted the first portable handheld phone in 1973. A device so heavy it was known as the brick. It was nevertheless a major innovation on the car phone. We need to credit engineers at Motorola's Israel Research and Development Center for coming up with the original cell phone technology. Video games. Ralph Baer, whose family fled Germany just before World War II, helped pave the way for the game systems we know today. The Jewish engineer began to investigate how to play games on a television in 1966. Then he and 2 colleagues created several test units. The result was the Brown Box, a prototype for the first multiplayer, multi-program video game system. Baer licensed it to Magnavox, which released the design as the Odyssey in 1972. Through several jobs in the electronics industry, he was working as an engineer at Sanders Associates, now Bay Systems, in Nashua, New Hampshire, when he conceived the idea of playing games on a television screen around 1966. Baer continued to design several other consoles and computer game units, including contributing to design of the Simon electronic game. Baer continued to work in electronics until his death in 2014, with over 150 patents to his name. Baer is considered the father of video games, due to his many contributions to games and helping to spark the video game industry in the latter half of the 20th century. In February 2006, he was awarded the National Medal of Technology for his groundbreaking and pioneering creation, development and commercialization of interactive video games, which spawned related uses, applications, and mega industries in both the entertainment and education fields. Camera phone. Baby boomer Philippe Kahn, he was born in Paris in 1952 to Jewish immigrants. His mother was a Holocaust survivor. The birth of his daughter in 1997 triggered the birth of a new technology. Kahn wanted to take a picture of the baby and send it to friends directly from the hospital. While in the waiting room, he succeeded. He fired up his computer, wrote some lines of codes, synchronized them with his Motorola mobile phone and digital camera, and created the world's first camera phone. His mother was a French singer, actress and violinist, raised in Paris by parents who had fled the Russian pogroms. Arrested in 1942 for being lieutenant in the French resistance, she was 21 years old when she was sent to the Auschwitz extermination camp. Kahn was educated in mathematics at the ETH Zurich, Switzerland, Swiss Federal Polytechnic Institute, on a full scholarship, and University of Nice Sophia Antipolis, France. He received a master's in mathematics. He also received a master's in musicology composition and classical flute performance at the Zurich Music Conservatory in Switzerland. As a student, Kahn developed software for the MICRAL, which is credited by the Computer History Museum as the first ever microprocessor-based personal computer. Google. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, now Silicon Valley billionaires, developed Google as computer science graduate students at Stanford University. Page envisioned a worldwide web search engine that could rank hyperlinks based on how often other pages linked them. Brin helped turn the idea into PageRank, the algorithm foundation of Google search. The product went live on Stanford's network in 1996. Some say they disagreed about nearly everything during their first meeting, but by the following year they struck a partnership. Working from their dorm rooms, they built a search engine that used links to determine the importance of individual pages on the World Wide Web. They called this search engine Backrub. Soon after, Backrub was renamed Google. Over the next few years, Google caught the attention of not only the academic community, but Silicon Valley investors as well. In August 1998, Google Inc. was officially born. The newly incorporated team made the upgrade from the dorms to their first office, a garage in suburban Menlo Park, California. Today, Google makes hundreds of products used by billions of people across the globe, from YouTube and Android to Gmail and, of course, Google Search. From the dorm room, to the garage, and to this very day. Do you get the idea? To drive the point across, Jewish minds have created many more inventions that touch our lives, from cherry tomatoes to the remote control. But that's another story. If you want to boycott the Jews, why don't you start by not using any of the technology and the amazing things Jewish people have contributed to society? Many are now saying we need a world without the Jews. Well, where would we be now? I choose to be part of the human race. We should all work together to be a benefit to one another. That is the way it should be. Dwell on that.